Hello, and welcome to another episode of eBay Scavengers. This is episode 100
I like when you do that.
on ebayscavengers.com.
Yeah, it's our 100th episode.
I know, so what should we do to celebrate?
I don't know, I'm not very good at anniversaries.
I know you're terrible at them. I will say that from experience.
But I will say,
I'm just kidding.
I look forward to another 100.
Yes, me too. Let's have a cupcake.
So this week has been totally average.
Yes.
I was looking at our search logs on the blog because I can see what people search for to get to our blog. Mm-hmm. And someone actually searched, why is March so slow?
For eBay, yes.
And they came across our blog because I think we had typed that in last week into our blog post. So, and we've talked to some other people. I think everyone's talking about that. I think a lot of it is you get into holiday season, October, November, December, even January. Right. And it's just like, it's so good.
Right. And or you hope that it is.
Yeah. Well, it's always been good. It's for us.
Right.
I mean, for all its retailers. And then February and March comes, and then I think it feels really slow. And really, when I look at its numbers, we did better this week than last week. Not by a lot, but we did.
Yeah.
It's better. Really, our sales are pretty good. I mean, if we made this every week, we'd be fine. So
right. It's just not amazing sales. It's very, like, there was one day this week where we got no messages, no offers, and I think we had one sale early in the morning, and it was just, like, so depressing.
Sure. But, again, I just always got to stress, but over the week, though, we did okay. So we might have had that one slow day, and then the other days were okay, and then it all kind of averages out.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really important for me to do our numbers so I see that we're having good sales over the course of a week or over the course of
Right, we're not just completely not selling anything.
Yeah.
It's just...
Trust me, I mean, I go through that where if I focus too much on one day, it can get really depressing.
Yeah, especially because I've been listing like crazy. I mean, when it's slow like this, I'm just like, I just have to list. So it's sad when you're like, I'm listing and no one's buying anything.
But
they did buy stuff.
There you go.
It just wasn't like sale after sale after sale.
Yeah.
So.
Again, it can't be Christmas every month, and so that's just the way it is.
That's true.
And I think another thing is it's just this long winter time. It's just probably it's like us. You're kind of holed up in your house. It's just kind of like it gets dark, and it's just.
It was so warm yesterday, and now it's gonna snow tonight and tomorrow. It's really sad.
So I think spring is just almost here, and I think everything's gonna pop back up.
Yep.
But cool. So it's that time of year where eBay does their eBay spring updates, where I guess the wise people eBay have been in their boardrooms for the past 6 months coming up with the new thing eBay is going to do, and so they sent their spring update to everyone. And as always, it's not very clear to me what they're talking about, but something about they're going to take away the star ratings and just have a defect rating.
Yeah, it's funny because when we got the message, I read through it and I sent it to Jay and I was like, I think they're saying they're getting rid of star ratings, but there will still be a kind of rating. Like a 1, 2, 3 level rating.
It's something about, and again, this seems to happen a lot with eBay. They like to do kind of a tweaking every year. Sometimes it's bigger, sometimes it's not. This time doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but it seems like instead of buyers being able to leave you those DSRs, those star ratings anonymously, eBay is going to see how many things get returned back to you, and I guess that becomes their defect rate.
Well, it's a combination of things too. It's like returns and open cases for not as described or something, but it has to be with like 8 different buyers.
Yeah, I guess they're trying to also help sellers in the sense like one buyer who might buy 5 things from you in one bundle can't then leave you 5 bad feedbacks or 5 DSRs and screw up all your ratings. It's got to come from, you have to have a consistently bad experience with people in order to be kind of like knocked down. But I guess really we'll just see. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's always like, just do good work, Yeah. Just treat people right, do good sales. I mean, ultimately, it's all going to be okay.
Yeah, so as time passes, we'll see probably more information about that defect rate. I don't think it goes into effect till August.
Every update they do, they kind of roll it out. So they just announce it, they slowly start rolling it out, and then I think August is when that its new thing kicks in. So we'll all have time to try and figure it out between now and then.
Yeah, maybe they're getting a lot of feedback about DSRs because I think sellers really don't like them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a link to an article about a political reporter that lost his job and he became a retail worker. And I thought it was just interesting, like, there's been a lot of debate about increasing the minimum wage in the United States. And also, like, a lot of us, we went into doing eBay because we didn't want to work retail and we maybe lost our jobs or our jobs got decreased. So it's interesting to read another side of it. So I thought I would link to it. Like, I'm so glad I don't work in a retail store.
Well, basically, he tells his story about how he had to get a minimum wage job at like a sports store, and just talked about how brutal it was. And I'm sure, I know I did, especially when I was younger, have those kind of jobs where, you're getting paid. Well, back then I was getting paid like $6 something an hour, but you get paid under $10 an hour. I mean, how do you make a living working full time and then paying your rent? It's just,
well, and part of it too was they wouldn't officially put him on as full time. They would just do 30 hours and then just ask him to stay longer. But he was so afraid of, everyone's so afraid of saying anything because that's the only job they can get, that they're barely making any money and they're working as much or more as a full-time worker.
Yeah, it's tough. But, anytime we may get, like, eBay starts getting overwhelming, we just think, like, wow, this is so much better than working for somebody else.
Yeah, so that when I read that, I was like, oh, this really reminds me why I love eBay.
And, honestly, I've had jobs where I've been paid considerably more, but it's still working for somebody else.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that story where you're stuck in a place where you end up having to work a lot more than you expect. There's a lot of there's no loyalty from the employer, and they expect complete loyalty from me. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous.
So we have come across recently a good blog about selling on Amazon through FBA.
Right. Linda commented on the blog because, I'd said I've been obsessed with these people who are selling on Amazon, especially the people specifically who sell on eBay but buy on Amazon. But, it's mixed up with just people, they're buying like it's new products and reselling those things. It's retail arbitrage, and I'm obsessed because most of these people are throwing around really ridiculous numbers of how much they make, but not really backing it up. So Alinda actually sent this blog, onlinesellingexperiment.com, and we'll put a link to it on our blog. And he actually is really good in breaking down his expenses and his profit each month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the important part about this blog, because he really, instead of just saying, I made $25,000 this month, you're like, well, break those numbers down and make them more realistic. What's your profit?
Right. So he seems to mainly sell toys and food. Mm-hmm. I guess going, so funny. I know, right? It seems so crazy, but I guess, it's retail arbitrage with a price scanner, with the Profit Bandit, going around to Walmart and other stores, and he finds the things on clearance or just finds the things that are underpriced that he thinks, and then he buys it in bulk and then boxes it up and ships it out to the Amazon warehouses.
Right.
So yeah, he's throwing around numbers like he sells like $25,000 worth of inventory a month.
That's a lot.
Which sounds cool, right?
Yeah.
But then when he breaks it down, he's spending so much money on the inventory itself.
Right.
Then so much on the shipping and fees.
Right.
Like, I think in February, he made a little over $4,000 profit.
That is insane
after everything, which
to me
isn't bad. It's money. I mean, we make more than that, but it's not bad, but the level of work it takes to do that must be tremendous, because you're having to, package all of that stuff, send them out to the different Amazon warehouses.
Yeah.
And then, he gets those kind of numbers because he's selling a lot.
Yeah, high volume.
Like we sold 40 something things this month. I mean, he's selling hundreds of things. So I can't imagine the level of customer service that he must have to keep track of. And he's good about that. He talks about he's got these special spreadsheets where he keeps track of like where all the products are in transit.
Wow. And I mean, the other part about it is in one of those, I think it was last month, he spent $9,000 on inventory. That's a lot of money up front. So he must be using credit cards.
Right. That's the other thing that I think that we don't talk about is that kind of business, retail arbitrage, a lot of these guys are having to have a lot of debt.
Right.
So they, have to carry a lot of inventory, and it's a little bit dicey because, they talk about getting caught where it might seem to make sense on a Monday, but then a week is later, Amazon has raised the price or lowered the price or it's whatever, where then the profit they thought they were going to get doesn't work.
And he talks about those things. So that's good to read that because, it's not all magic.
Yeah. And actually a couple of other listeners, I've been emailing them off a list. And one guy actually did a whole spreadsheet where it looked at a seller that sells on eBay from items he gets on Amazon, and he did a whole spreadsheet of how much he thinks this guy makes. And the guy seems like he makes it's profit, but he sells, I think his feedback last year or in the past 12 months was like 75,000. So that's just feedback.
Oh my God.
So he's selling so much volume to get that kind of his profit. It's just,
it's unbelievable.
I just think bottom line is it's all good, but it's always going to be work. Always,
It's never just like a magic bullet.
Yeah.
Like you sit here and do nothing.
Yeah. So I guess everyone just needs to pick whatever thing is fun and exciting to them. I assume people get excited by the retail arbitrage, scanning things at the store and then buying things in bulk. I just think we're just the people who like to kind of find the older, vintagey stuff.
Yeah, that's more fun. I mean, for me, that's way more fun.
And plus, I just love not having to invest so much up front. I mean, really, our investment costs are really, really low. It's all about our time.
Yeah,
that's really the thing that is valuable to us, and that's the thing that we add its value to make our money.
Right. So Jay found an interesting article on New York Times this week about these collectors who collect and use nail polish. It's kind of interesting because they have these very particular like colors and brands of nail polish that have gone into discontinued status. So they spend a lot of money on very particular nail polishes.
And the article, of course, they always will highlight the things that are the craziest. Supposedly one bottle sold for $10,000. I really question that, since when I see those, its numbers, I always think, oh, that was just one of those auctions that got out of control and the person didn't really pay. We did a search on eBay for nail polish, highest price sold. And, some of the bottles sold for a couple $100. So
yeah, so we'll link to the article, but I think along with perfume, which is something that I've been looking for, because companies do discontinue that, every few years. It's good to maybe look for nail polish if you can buy it for 50 cents a dollar and sell it for...
Especially at estate sales.
Yeah, and, stuff like that.
When clean-outs happen. It's always a fun scavenger thing.
Yeah.
So just a continuing story, we talked about a woman who bought a coat from us, and before she bought it, she had emailed us to confirm a size, and we emailed her confirming its measurements of the coat. She bought it. Then she contacted us again, and she was an American buyer. She contacted us and said that it didn't fit.
Right.
And she wanted to know what we would do about it. And we just said, return it.
Send it back. That's what we
have a
always
great its return policy. We'll accept anything for its reason. And then she writes back and says she's in Taiwan now. She's moved there after buying it, so she couldn't return it, and she wanted to do kind of, I guess it's fishing for a partial refund, but we just didn't say anything.
Right.
Because we had already said the answer, and that's
to return it.
To return
and
it.
You know what? she lives in Taiwan. She could still mail it back. I mean, I mail stuff to Asia all the time, so she could spend the money to mail it back.
Right. But it's clear that she would have to pay the shipping.
Right, so she doesn't want to do that, clearly.
Anyway, we didn't hear from her for a couple weeks, and then she just wrote to us again because she had opened up a case against us, but didn't escalate it where eBay needed to get involved. And she emailed us again saying what we were going to do about it. And basically, our answer's there to return it. So we're now just quiet. And it's interesting. We looked at the time frame of when she's emailing us, and she seems to know when her deadlines are.
Right.
So I think the case will automatically close in the next couple of days if she doesn't escalate it.
Right. I think she has like 4 more days to officially escalate it, and if she doesn't escalate it, it just closes on its own, and we need to do nothing after that.
Right. So I think this is one of those cases, I'm always very skeptical of the scammers. Like, I don't think every buyer is a scammer, but this definitely seems to be a buyer who, I don't know, she is very strange in the sense that if she really thought we did something wrong, she should escalate things. But I think,
right,
the way it words things is she's just trying to fish for a partial refund, hoping we'll just give her money, even though we haven't done anything wrong.
Right.
So this is the case where we know what the rules are, and the rules are so far protecting us.
The odd thing, too, I always find with people who say something doesn't fit is they took 30 plus days to realize that. You're like, if I bought something on eBay, which I have several times, the minute I get it, I try it on. Because if something's wrong, you need to, make sure you do something about it. So it's always strange when 29 days later, they're like, this doesn't fit.
And the good news is it's low stress. Yeah. Because we've just been through all this. It's before, and we just know its protection is for us sellers. So
right. So we'll see what happens with that. I doubt she's going to escalate it. If she does, all we say is, sure, return the item if it doesn't fit. And, that's still the solution.
Yep.
Okay, so we recently read about the company called Alibaba. We've mentioned them before. They have started a new online competitor, eBay competitor called 11 Main.
Right, and Alibaba is, for those of you who don't know, is a Chinese company. And they they make more money than eBay and PayPal and Amazon combined every year.
Insane. So what do they sell, like bulk stuff from China?
So
right?
They were built to help Chinese factories sell their products to wholesalers in the rest of the world. So the people who would know about them are the people who buy, like I always say, they'll buy iPhone cases in bulk, or, these Chinese-made product in bulk, have them shipped to them and resell them on Amazon. Yeah. So they bought they bought a company that works through eBay called Vendio.
Yeah, some people might have heard of Vendio, because I think you can list on eBay through Vendio.
So they bought this company, so now through Vendio, anyone that joins up with Vendio can import all of their eBay listings to this new company 11 Main, which is basically eBay and Etsy kind of combined.
Yeah, it's a little bit like, if you go to the website, you'll see it looks a little bit fancier than both eBay and Etsy.
And we had to write you have to ask for an invitation, and you have to link to it's your store, and then they allow you in. So we haven't gone through the whole process yet. We don't have a storefront, but it was pretty simple. We just imported all of our listings.
Yeah, so. I signed up for Vendio because with 11 Main, they give you a free Vendio account. And I started importing my eBay stuff, but nothing's happened yet. So I'll see what happens.
And, there's everything. It seems like every couple of years there's some new company that tries to take on eBay.
Yeah.
Bamboozle and
I don't think that's what Bamboozle. What was that? I forget what that one's called.
Boondoggle. I don't know. There's all these different companies Bonanza. They try and become the eBay competitor, and really it's just so far
Yeah, no one's
You
been
know,
able to do it.
eBay is just, it's eBay and Amazon. Amazon's it's really the biggest competitor, but Amazon, in many cases, sells just a lot of different kinds of stuff than eBay does.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll keep an eye on that status.
Yeah, we always like to experiment. That's always a good thing.
So we are going to answer questions that came in this week. Okay, so Patrick Bateman asked, do you usually take the time to answer all of the requests to take additional measurements? For example, while laying flat and button, please tell me the underarm to underarm measurements across the front. So we already provide that measurement, and we actually try to provide every single measurement we can think of. Like, for example, for shirts, it's the shoulders, the chest, the sleeve, and the length. So that's like every measurement. Now, if someone asks for a very specific measurement that's different than those, I mean, sometimes I will go in and get that measurement if I don't think it's too crazy.
Right. I mean, it's first of all, if you are not putting your measurements on your clothing,
Yeah.
then these questions are absolutely appropriate.
Right.
I mean, it would be crazy to think of buying a shirt without its knowing its measurements. Even if on the tag it says, 32 by 34 or large or something like that. I mean,
Right.
if it's a used piece of it's clothing, especially, things shrink.
Things have been hemmed,
But also, if someone were to buy it just based on the tag and gets it and says it doesn't fit,
Yep.
I think more than likely they could send it back and say it's your fault because you did not
Give the measurements.
provide its measurements.
Yeah. So like this one, the underarm to underarm measurement across the front, you should already have that on your listing for a shirt. Absolutely.
And if you Google it, like eBay listing its measurements or something, I know that there are blog posts out there where people have put how you do its measurements.
I mean, I can post the picture that I use for shirts. I have pants. I have a dress form that I show how I measure it. And so that's another thing too, is on our template, I tell people how I measured it. Like, this is the chest measurement, and this is how I measured it, so you understand what that measurement means.
And, I think, again, this is just one of those things where people think, oh, it's going to be really easy to sell clothes and shoes on eBay. But
Right.
really, that's like not the glamorous fun part. Is
Measuring.
You've got to measure everything. So, and really, I mean, the reason why we started doing it was because we started, in the beginning, we were getting a lot of its returns because they didn't fit people the way they thought it was going to fit, and because we didn't provide its measurements, we couldn't say we told them. So
Right.
yeah, so I hope that helps.
Okay, so this is a question from Misha from Truth or Consequences. And they said, I noticed that a lot of photos on eBay have the option to click here and enlarge, or a magnifier underneath the photo. None of mine come up with that. I am using a super high resolution and have a basic store. Any clues where to source the magnifying feature? I thought that magnifying feature came up when you had a high resolution photo. That's what I thought happened, because I don't use super high resolution photos, so mine don't really get magnified either. But it might also be there's a little click box for certain categories that says it's like I forget what it's called. It's called enhanced gallery photo or something, and it's only free for certain categories. You have to pay some ridiculous amount, like $1 a listing if you want it for all your listings. But on artwork or antiques, I think it's just free. So it depends on what category you have it in. So you should check on that. But I think that those are the two possibilities.
I really think this is one of those questions where don't ask people on some random blog on the internet.
Call
Just
eBay.
Call eBay.
That's
Really.
good. I don't have the answer. So
we could make stuff up, but honestly, that's the kind of thing where just call up eBay and ask them why it doesn't work, and they'll tell you the answer.
Right.
I mean, honestly, that whole magnifying glass thing, I've never really found it helpful.
Yeah, me
it's when I
either.
buy stuff. It's, because if people's photos are clear, then I shouldn't need a magnifying glass. But, it's a cool feature,
right.
I guess, to check on.
For fabric or something like that, I guess.
Okay, the next question is Debbie from California. she writes us a kind of a long story / its question. And basically what she is saying is she wants to open a new eBay and PayPal account for her mom's estate. And her sisters or different family members will all share this account, and they'll all sell stuff through this account from her mom's estate, and then I guess do taxes and share its money through that. And she's just asking, have we ever known anyone to do this? And number one is, I mean, honestly, it sounds kind of complicated to me. You know, having multiple people attached to an account and a PayPal account, and everyone is a listing in the same account. Especially if these are people that have never sold on eBay, I just feel like I feel like only one person is going to probably end up doing all the work. And also, as we always tell as new people, if you already have an established account, eBay account, that's the best one to use, because that's the one that has all the feedback and the good its reputation that will help in your search terms, and there won't be limits on your selling.
Right.
Anytime that you start a brand new account, you're basically starting from zero.
Yeah.
And eBay will put those limitations on you, and they hold your money in PayPal for 21 days, and you know.
Oh, that's right. They would like hold money for 21 days if you're new. Yeah, all that stuff. I would just say use your account and then maybe get a PayPal account or some other account that you can just send that money to that you guys can share or something.
And, you know, honestly, with all that stuff, as we've talked about it's before with selling things for other people, the best way is like, I don't know if your mom's dead or if she's moved on or something, but either split up everything she has and everyone takes what they want and everyone can do with what they want there, or you buy the stuff from your other family, its members that don't want it. But this whole thing of sharing inventory or selling things from other people, it just sounds too complicated. And if they've never sold on eBay, I really doubt they're going to start to become really big eBay people.
Well, it's like you said, in a situation like this, which I've been in situations like this, one person, the person who's most knowledgeable about eBay, is going to be doing the most work. So you might as well just already do that, but do it in a way that makes sense, for you, instead of like, I'm doing the work for everyone else.
And she does ask, is this a better idea than just hiring an estate sale company? And, honestly, that might be a better answer. If there's a lot of people involved and things are getting complicated, you just hire one of these companies, and I forgot what kind of prices they charge. They might take 20% of everything they sell, but they do those things that we go to, where they open up the house, they sell everything in the house, and then they just write you a big old check, and you guys can split it up from there.
Yeah.
So that definitely is why a lot of people do that, is because they don't want to have to deal with who's getting what kind of thing.
Yep. Okay, so our next podcast is an interview with one of our commenters named Breezy. Her name is Brianna, and she is a very prolific seller on eBay. She sells a lot on eBay, and it was actually really fun to talk to her about how she runs her business. She's got a 16-month-old little baby.
And we're excited to talk with her because her store seems to be run a lot like ours, where it's one-of-a-kind stuff, big inventories, and she does really, really well. So I think it'll be fun.
Okay, so thanks for listening to our 100th episode.
All right.
Woohoo! Bye.